Where does courage come from? Where does moral courage come from? Parents, upbringing, bitter experience in the inner city, prejudice, bigotry, discrimination, reading, thinking, doing. It's a rare commodity. Moral courage is far rarer than physical courage. And there's a reason for that. Because physical courage is very much a decision of the instant. It happens when one instantly decides to rescue someone or instantly decides to defend someone. General George Patton in World War II, rather acerbic military leader, to put it mildly, once defined courage on the battlefield as fear plus 5 minutes. Moral courage, on the other hand, has a much greater vulnerability. It lasts longer. It's easier to retaliate against. And it's easier to smear. But moral courage is what we need. If we're going to address the problems of our neighborhood, our community, our city, our state, our country, and our world. Because when the few decide for the many, and when concentrated power is held in the hands of fewer and fewer giant corporations that control more and more of our elections and our government and our economic future, that have no more allegiance to the United States and its people other than to control them, as they ship industries and jobs abroad to dictatorships, oligarchies, and the latest fashion, a communist dictatorship in China, by a Republican president and a Republican-dominated Congress egging it on. You know the statistics, and they have human faces. 46 million people without health insurance, including children. 18,000 die a year because they cannot afford health care. That's 6 9/11s. That figure comes from the Institute of Medicine of the National Academy of Sciences. 18,000 people die in the richest country in the world because they live in a society where the almighty dollar tells them, you either pay or you die. No other Western country has an absence of universal health insurance. All of them have universal health insurance, except the United States. 48 million people make under $11 an hour before deductions and the costs of getting to work every day. You cannot live on $5.15 an hour, $6 an hour, $7 an hour, Walmart wages, $8 an hour, $9 an hour. You cannot support a family on $15 an hour in any decent way. Economists who have really asked themselves the question, what is the minimum salary for a family of 4 to live with the minimum necessities of life in America today? It's $40,000 a year. And you know what the federal poverty standard is for a family of 4? It's about $18,500. So when they say there are only 35 million people who live in poverty, in reality, It's almost half the population in the richest country in the world. While our national railroad system, called Amtrak, crumbles for lack of capital maintenance money to keep the bridges in repair and the roadbeds in repair, so we can allow this kind of transit system to declog some of our highways and airports. President Bush says you should only receive $900 million this year for the entire country. But President Bush then says the missile defense program will receive again, as it does every year, $9.5 billion. Now, the missile defense program will never work. The American Society of Physicists, some of whom consult with the Pentagon, years ago, when Reagan started this boondoggle that literally took money away from clinics, schools, mass transit, libraries, cleaner air, the American Society of Physicists condemned it because it wouldn't work from a physics standpoint. Among other things, it's too easily decoyed. Now that is just one example of a clinically insane allocation of your tax dollars because you're not in charge. And you will never be in charge unless you show up. And I'm not referring to you, because you have shown up. I'm referring to all the people today who knew about this gathering, who want a living wage, who want universal health care, who want their public works and services restored to a decent level, people who want to breathe along with their children clean air and drink clean water, people who want clean elections, people who don't want criminal wars, fabricated wars, spreading damage to the United States of America all over the world, bringing back dead soldiers, sick soldiers, traumatized soldiers, devastating Iraqis, people who don't want these things, people who don't want tax cuts again and again for the wealthy, while huge deficits pile up, which their grandchildren will have to pay for. That's what Bush is, a taxer of grandchildren. They're not here. They may say they're tired. They finished a week's work, a second job's week's work. They have to spend time with their family. They're fatigued. They have to go and shop, fill the cupboards with their measly dollars. They'll say that they have to spend a little time visiting their elderly parents or their relatives. They'll all say they don't have time, that they're running around, always behind time. But the one thing they won't say is that the greatest drain on their time is their own sense of helplessness and powerlessness. That the greatest drain on their energy is their own sense of powerlessness and helplessness. And once they recover from their sense of powerlessness and helplessness, start feeling sorry for Wall Street and Washington, D.C. Congress.